If you're starting a new limited company after liquidation, what matters most is you follow the rules and you don't try and cut corners. Liquidation does not end your business career, and thousands of directors do it successfully every single year. The law's very clear. Liquidation closes a company, not a director's business life. Now, if you misunderstand the rules, like you use the old company name, you transfer assets out of the company for cheap, or you try to restart without proper processing guidance, that is when the insolvency service can step in. That's when directors get disqualified, and in some cases, they end up personally liable for the company's debts. Now, I helped a director in logistics once, and he went through liquidation after years of stress, and he thought the liquidation meant he could never be a director again. Now, what we did is we put the company through an insolvency process, we did everything properly, got the agent to value the business and the assets, and he bought those business back for a fair value over an extended period of time. He also followed the Section 216 rules, and within a few weeks, he was back up and running, and he kept 12 jobs alive. And he told me, Chris, I wish someone had explained this to me before the panic set in. And that's exactly why we're here, to help you understand what's actually allowed, what isn't, and how to start a company again safely. So the truth is, yes, you can start a new company. You are legally allowed to become a director of a new company. You can incorporate a brand new limited company. You can even incorporate it now while your other company is still trading. Yes, you can buy back company assets from the old company as long as you do it properly. You can transfer the staff over from the old company to the new company, and you can start trading immediately. What liquidation does is it removes the old entity. It does not stop you being a director again unless you've been disqualified, you've committed misconduct, you've broke insolvency rules. But for the majority of directors, I'm talking 99% of them, you're free to restart as quickly as you want to. Now, there's one rule that most directors don't know, and it's called Section 216. And this is where directors, I think a lot of the times they accidentally break this rule. Section 216 is in the Insolvency Act, and it says, if you were a director of a company in the 12 months before the company went through an insolvency process, you cannot use the same or a similar name for a period of 5 years. And this also includes the trading name. So if it's Chris Worden Limited trading as Chris's Cars, the trading name is also included, okay? Now, it also it means the same for the website. So if it's chrissyscars.co.uk, if Chris's Cars have specific branding, it's anything that's confusingly similar, right? If you go through liquidation, you can't use the same or similar name, you can't use the same or similar branding, you can't use the same or similar domain name. Right? But there are 3 legal exemptions. This is the important bit, right? Exemption 1 is you buy something called the goodwill through the insolvency practitioner, right? So you can buy the trading name, the domain, the brand properly from the liquidator at a fair value, and then you can legally reuse it. But you must notify all creditors via post and advertise it publicly within 30 days. And you advertise it in either the London Gazette or the Edinburgh Gazette, okay? Now, exemption 2 is through a court order. You can apply for a court order giving you permission. Most small businesses don't need this. They follow exemption 1 because exemption 1 is simple, but the option still exists. And I think you're probably going to be into sort of £5,000 to £8,000 worth of costs to do exemption 2. Exemption 3 is interesting, and that is, it's called existing use. So if you have a separate limited company that was already using the same name or a similar name before you liquidated that business, and that other company has been set up and trading for over 12 months, that is another exemption. So let's remember what I said, it was Chris's Cars, wasn't it, right? So let's say Chris's Cars Limited is going into liquidation. But 18 months ago, I set up Chris's Cars Northwest Limited, and here's it had to have been trading. So Chris's Cars Northwest Limited has been trading for 18 months. Well, that is an exemption to Section 216 because I already have a limited company that's been trading over 12 months with the same or similar name. Now, let's imagine that Chris's Cars Northwest Limited was set up 12 months ago, but it hadn't traded. It's the part where it's not traded, then it's not exempt, and you're going to have to follow exemption 1, which is by the goodwill of the liquidator, or exemption 2, which is applied to court. If you break Section 216, the consequences are really severe. There is criminal prosecution. There can be personal liability for company debts. You can be disqualified as being a director. Now, I see people break this because of a lot of bad advice. And the reality is an insolvency practitioner is not really allowed to advise you how to get round Section 216, crazily. But again, Director First will help you with things like that. Now, let's talk about how to start a new company legally and safely. Well, first of all, you've got to liquidate the insolvent company or take steps to liquidate that insolvent company, okay? Now, a creditor's voluntary liquidation protects you and it draws a legal line between the old company and a new one, okay? Now, step 2, I always believe you've got to understand your personal exposure. It's something I bang on about all the time. You need to know, do you owe money on a director's loan account? Have you signed any personal guarantees? Are HMRC like investigating anything? Have you got any COP 9, COP 8 investigations? Were you trading way past the point of insolvency? Was you knowingly taking customer deposits or racking up supplier debt without any reasonable hope of ever paying them back, okay? Now, ideally, the cleaner that you exit your insolvent business, the safer that the restart is. Now, step 3, buying back assets correctly. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this, okay? You can buy the equipment, website, vehicles, branding, plant and machinery, stock, literally anything you can buy back, okay? But you've got to pay a fair market value, okay? Now, sometimes you'll do all this before you appoint the insolvency practitioner. Now, that's going to get a lot of increased scrutiny because remember, you're insolvent and you're taking assets out of the business. Now, if you are going down the route of buying the assets back before you liquidate, or before, what you must do is you get an agent involved and you want an independent, credible agent to value all the assets, and they'll give you a report. And the report will generally have 2 figures on. There's an in situ figure, which is what that agent believes this business is worth to you or a connected party post-insolvency process. And there's an ex situ figure. Now, the ex situ figure is what the agent reasonably believes that they will be able to raise if this went to auction. And the in situ figure is always going to be more than the ex situ figure. Now, you, as a director, you want to be buying the assets back close to the in situ figure. The closer you can get to the in situ figure, the harder it is for an insolvency practitioner to criticize you, okay? Now, the way that you do this is you ask the agent, would you write a letter of recommendation on my offer? So let's say you've had some assets, you've had some vehicles, you've had some plant and machinery, you've got an in situ figure of 60 grand, and you've got an ex situ figure of £30,000. You're tempted to try and get it for the ex situ figure, but the closer that you get it to the ex situ figure, the more chance you're going to be criticised by the insolvency practitioner of a transaction undervalue. So what you want to try and say to the agent is say, listen, find out where they will sign off as an acceptable figure, and it'll be closer to the in situ figure. Now, in most cases, again, we'll help you with this. We will be able to get terms agreed with the insolvency practitioner. So let's say you offer 55,000 on this value, on these business assets, even though they've been worth at 60,000. The chances are the insolvency practitioner will give you some terms to pay that. Okay. Now, the other way you can do this is buy them from the insolvency practitioner once the insolvency practitioner is appointed, okay? And process is pretty similar. The insolvency practitioner will engage an agent, the agent will do a report, and you will make an offer to the agent. Now, either way, an agent's report's really important because what it does, it shows that you're paying a fair market value, okay? Now, the next step is you might have done this step previous, okay, but I'm going to put it in a step 4, is you register a new limited company. So you choose a new company name, you open a new bank account, register for VAT, PAYE, get your accountant to set you up on your management account software, all the practicalities, insurances, etc. You may need to get your landlord to agree to either give you a new lease for the new company or novate the old lease or assign that old lease to the new company, okay? Now, part 5, I'm going to start to talk about when you can't start again. And it's very limited, right? It's when you've been disqualified from being a director. If you are disqualified from running a company, you can't start a new one. If you are made personally bankrupt, you can't start a company unless you've got specific court permission, okay? Now, 99% of directors I speak to are not disqualified, okay? So you can all restart a company and do it immediately. Now, I want to talk to you about when I think starting over again is a smart move, okay? Most directors, they carry the emotional baggage of the failed company. In fact, do you know what? If anything I've said to you so far has gone, oh, this funny looking bald guy has pricked me interest, go to the comment section below, click on that link. One of my team will call you today to guide you through this. No strings, no obligation, right? But yeah, let's get back to why I think it's a smart idea sometimes to use an insolvency process. Most directors carry the emotional baggage of a failed company around, right? I did. I know I did. Remember, I did this years and years ago. That's how I ended up in this industry. But the truth for me was I didn't have any other option. Insolvency was the only option, and it gave me a clean slate, and it gave me the ability to build a better business. I learned some lessons, and I got to write off debt. You get to write off debt like HMRC, VAT, corporation tax, PAYE. And in a new company, you can look at what's gone wrong, look at that bucket, where are the holes in the bucket, and fix the business. You can rebuild without the weight of the past that's pulled you down. And most successful directors that I've worked with, they've got one thing in common. Lots of people fail once, and then they build back 10 times stronger. That was my experience. Like I had to go through an insolvency process, and it was hell. Like I didn't know where to turn. There was no funny looking bald guys with specs on YouTube giving really good director-led insolvency advice. It was like a mystery. Because I spoke to all these firms, and one firm would say something different to the other. One thing they had all in common, they spoke to me like I was a bit of dirt on the shoe. And I just thought, you know what, there's a better way to do this. So listen, you can liquidate and you can start again. It's legal, it's common, and it's often the smartest move. As long as you follow strict rules, you've got to liquidate the insolvent business properly. Don't reuse the name illegally. But if you're buying back company assets, make sure you do it correctly. Be transparent and build with clarity, not chaos. If you're a UK director thinking about shutting down and starting fresh, contact us at Director First today. We'll make sure you follow the rules, we'll protect yourself, we'll educate you where the problems are, and we'll help you rebuild stronger. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, I want you to go and watch that video there. And that video is going to tell you everything about pre-packs. It is going to go through the whole shebang. And if you're thinking about closing and liquidating and starting again, that is the video for you. Go and watch it now. Thank you.